Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Samuel Hussey and I'm the Secretary for Reform UK here in the constituency of Kings Winford and South Staffordshire. I wanted to make a video talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, before I get started, I was going to make this video late last night, but I was too emotional and I was unable to think clearly. I also want to say that this video is completely off the cuff. There are no notes, there's no scripts, no pre-rehearsed lines, as there usually is. So if this video seems at times clunky, slow, etc., I do want to make that clear that it's not scripted anyway. This is completely off the cuff. Me personally, I was a big fan of Charlie since COVID, really. Some of his older videos, 5-6 years ago. And, I have to say this, Charlie was a man, he was brave, honest, true to his faith, his country, his political beliefs. We lost a great mind, ladies and gentlemen, we really did. We lost a once-in-a-100-year individual. This man was something else. This man was, of course, a great pioneer in the conservative movement. He was a young father, Christian, husband, loved family member, friend to many people, and a big inspiration to many people as well, including myself. Charlie inspired us to stand up for our beliefs. He inspired us to get out there and not be ashamed of what we believed in. As of course, I'm sure you can remember back in the days of COVID, they were trying to silence many people. Cancel culture was a big thing at the time. They were trying to silence those whose opinions didn't fit the political narrative at the time. Charlie Kirk was one of those men that stood up in defiance of that. And they couldn't defeat him using logic or debate, so they resorted to killing him. This event was totally unforeseen. This was one of those moments that, even if it happens right in front of you, you can't even believe it. It feels like we're living in some sort of alternate, timeline where, how has this happened? How is this even possible? Why now? All because some crazed lunatic on the left wing, and I'm presuming he's on the left wing, otherwise he wouldn't have targeted a right-wing conservative. Now, one of the things we see nowadays in terms of, politics, and I'm sure even if you are just a concerned individual, not even involved in politics, you're just concerned about your borders, illegal immigration, taxes, even your kids' future. We see the word fascist and Nazi thrown around like a rag doll. And all it takes is for one, mentally ill, just god-awful human being, if you can even call them a human being, to think, you know what, I'm going to stop this. They're going to take that to heart. They're going to think that, Charlie Kirk, is as bad as the left wing make him out to be, and I'm going to put an end to this. And unfortunately they did. And what kind of a response is this going to trigger? Is this going to inspire other left-wing radicals to take up arms? Who's going to be the next right-wing activist or politician to be taken out? Will it be Nigel Farage? Will it be Richard Tice? Will it be, I'm going to be out on the campaign trail myself in a couple of months. Will I get attacked? Just simply for sharing what I believe in and staying true to that. Will this inspire right-wing radicals to take up arms against the left? Will a left-wing commentator or politician be shot? And of course, I want to thank the left-wing, the majority of leftists actually, who, such as Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, those sorts of people who actually stood up before it was confirmed that Charlie had died to pray for him and to wish him a speedy recovery. Have the left-wing radicals who did this, have they just opened the floodgates? Charlie Kirk was a massive inspiration, not only to all conservatives, not only to Americans, Christians, to the Western world. Mainly, he was an inspiration to Gen Z, my generation. You know, he is what inspired myself to get up and not be ashamed of my beliefs and what I believed in. To have some convict about myself, to, you know, be true to that, not falter in my beliefs to suit other people's narratives or to change my beliefs simply because, you know, others disagree with me. That I should be scared of what others might do or will do in the face of disagreement. Now, of course, that being said, there were a small minority, and of course I'm sure you've seen some of them, that took to social media to celebrate this. And all I have to say to those people, you know, this is the side of diversity and acceptance. This is the side that's celebrating the cold-blooded murder of a 31-year-old man who leaves behind 2 beautiful children, a wife, you know, friends and family, as I mentioned before. And they are out celebrating this, laughing at this horrific tragedy. And all I have to say to those people is take one look in the mirror. Are you really going to sit there and celebrate the murder of a fellow human being simply because you disagree with them? And we need to cut this out, ladies and gentlemen. My patience was running out with, you know, being called a Nazi and a fascist and all of that. But like I said, it only takes one lunatic to really take that to heart and think, you know, I'm going to stop the next Adolf Hitler from rising to prominence. I'm going to go and I'm going to kill someone simply because I disagree with their ideology or religious beliefs. I did say this video was off the cuff, by the way. We need to stop this, you know, this name calling. Same thing with on the right, calling every left-winger a communist, you know. There might be some lunatic who thinks I'm going to stop the next Vladimir Lenin from coming to prominence and shoot an innocent human being who happens to fall on the left. You know, it was Charlie Kirk who said that civil debate was the only thing keeping America from civil war. And now that he's gone, I truly do fear that the US could enter not particularly a civil war, but a very large scale of unrest. Political unrest on a large scale, I should have said. And we need to stay true to that. We do. We need to stay true to what Charlie believed in and fought for, which was freedom of speech. Here in the UK, freedom of speech, it's slipping from us. And unless we do fight back, we are going to lose that freedom of speech, ladies and gentlemen. We will lose it. It'll be gone forever. We won't be able to express ourselves freely. And I do now fear, you know, what will happen next. Was Charlie Kirk the first? Are there going to be others who are going to be killed in cold blood simply because they disagree with others? Will this spark a huge retaliation of, you know, political unrest? Will more people suffer because of this? And, you know, we are fortunate in that way, you know, as of now that, you know, there was only the one fatality, that nobody else was murdered in the crowd, unlike at Trump's rally in Pennsylvania last year. So all I need to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is stay true to your beliefs. Stay true to freedom of speech. We lost a great mind. We lost a once-in-a-100-year man who I think was destined to one day become US president. We need to now carry on his legacy. We need to make sure that we don't let his legacy slip from us, just like freedom of speech is, especially here in the UK. We need to make sure that he's honoured and paid the respects that he's due. Because one of these days, this will all blow up. One day, people will have enough of being called a Nazi, fascist, racist, whatever it might be. One day, people will have enough and things will blow up. That's not me trying to fearmonger. You know, this is me telling you how it is. We have never been closer to, you know, not necessarily civil war, but something very, very similar in a long time. As mentioned before, Charlie's main demographic was Gen Z, the younger generation, my generation in particular. And all I have to say, and this is a big one. You know, I have no doubt in my mind that this will further radicalize Gen Z. Charlie Kirk was the one barrier we had between civil debate and civil war. Okay? All I can do in this moment is call for calm, civil behaviour. You know, have some respect for Charlie and his family. You know, this was a fellow human being, a husband, father. Even if you agree or disagree with him, look, I'm a long-time fan of Charlie, but I wouldn't say that I agree with him 100% of the time. I think if we did agree with each other 100% of the time, it wouldn't make us human. But 80% of the time I would agree with him. All I can say is, if you are a conservative, have a friendly discussion with a liberal. If you're liberal, friendly discussion with a conservative. This is how we resolve our issues. I also wanted to, and I'm being dead serious right now, I am in no way making this video to try and capitalise on the events that we saw yesterday. You know, what happened was something deadly serious, and all I'm trying to do is spread my opinion on this matter. Let you guys know, you know, give you a little insight on how I think about this. I also do fear, as I've said, I did apologise if this video became repetitive, but I do fear for the safety of my fellow reformers here in the UK, my fellow right-wingers as well, even people from the left. You know, we've got more local elections right around the corner. We're going to be out and about in public. There have been small instances of physical violence round about here locally with Reform UK, when they've been out, you know, handing out leaflets or whatever it might be. There have been instances of physical violence. It does worry me, but at the same time, it motivates me to stand up stronger than ever before and stick true to my beliefs. And this event, you know, something totally unforeseen and something that I wish we could just snap our fingers and undo. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologise if this video was a little brief or repetitive. I didn't want to go too much into this because, of course, I'm sure you've all heard the same thing over and over again at, you know, larger media outlets. I just wanted to give you my personal opinion on this. Stay civil, stay respectful, agree to disagree. We don't need to shoot each other because we disagree with each other. We don't need to radicalise each other because we disagree. And I'll leave you on that. So thank you all for watching. God bless and stay safe.